They look like beavers, but have tails like rats. And actually, they're neither. They're Coypus. These foreign rodents have shown themselves to be hard-bitten survivors, reproducing rapidly throughout Central Europe. How do they impact their environment? And are they an asset or a dangerous liability? Neuss, in the Lower Rhine area, a large city in the west of Germany with green belts, and a long canal running through the middle of it. An idyllic spot for two-legged and four-legged folk. Some walk along the busy side, others live on the quiet, undisturbed opposite bank. That hole in the embankment is a residence. It's home to a Coypu family, right in the city centre. And they're not at all shy. Everything a Coypu could need grows right there on their doorstep. Paradise. Although there's greenery in abundance, this youngster doesn't give an inch to his playmate. Researchers have discovered that their diet consists of at least 40 different types of plants, and the gluttons are supremely well equipped for all of them. Powerful incisors for peeling and cutting, and dexterous paws to grab and hold the food. Their orange-coloured incisors sharpen with continual wear. Thanks to powerful back legs and strong stomach muscles, they can also reach plants that are not so close to the ground. Most of the time. Coypus, also known as nutrias, eat constantly year-round. They consume around 1/4 of their own body weight in food every day, and that's a lot. A fully grown Coypu weighs around 10 kilograms. While eating, they keep an eye on the surroundings, always alert to possible danger. The rodents also use greenery to decorate their homes. Food and protective cover grow right next door to each other. The burrow is inhabited by a single family. Coypus don't have any problem with their neighbours. They avoid each other. There's one they don't trust, though. The grey heron has a sharp, pointed weapon. The Neuss city Coypus are thriving. 80 kilometres northwest of here, however, life for their relatives is far more contentious. In the Netherlands, near Zevenaar, Jari Bremer goes about his daily work. The man is a member of a special unit. There are Coypus in the German-Dutch border area too, and day in, day out, they keep Jari Bremer on his toes. He scours the canals and waterways on the Netherlands side for the creatures. Working for the Water Protection Authority, he is on the trail of the rodents. But they are extremely shy here, away from settlements. They seem to suspect that they are not liked. Their burrows in the dikes and dams are the problem.
The Netherlands has so much water. Huge areas were drained, which were only afterwards habitable for human beings. But these exotic animals dig holes in the dikes, and then we can no longer live here. So, we are doing something about it here.
A quarter of the Netherlands lies below sea level. For Jari Bremer, the cave-digging creature is an enemy that he and 20 other colleagues have to fight. In his territory, he hunts for evidence of not only old burrows, but also new ones. It's an almost forensic search for clues. Fresh Coypu droppings, and not only that, a short while later he spots the imprint of a hind paw. Now it's definite. Out there, somewhere, his opponent is lurking. Their burrows are at least 1 metre long and 30 centimetres wide. The entrances are always above water level, and they can make dikes and dams leak. Coypus dig their own burrows. They have powerful shoulders and claws. This still seems like a paradise for them here. To change that, Jari Bremer will return to this old branch of the River Rhine. Coypus transition easily between the different worlds. They're as well adapted to life on land as they are for life in the water. They're good swimmers. Their equipment, wide, webbed hind feet that propel them like divers' flippers, and the tail is used for steering. Although they generally stay near their living quarters, they also occasionally check out the rest of their territory. Anyone who's not part of the family is greeted with hostility. The intruder beats a hasty retreat. A swim is followed by a veritable orgy of grooming. Their coats, when wet, can't keep them warm in the cold water, so the rodents rub themselves with an oily secretion from glands near their mouth to keep their fur water repellent. They comb through the thick fur on their abdomens with their sharp claws, creating a protective air cushion that serves as thermal insulation for the next dive. Even though they've adapted to life in Europe, they actually originate from another continent entirely. The Coypu's ancestors lived in South America. Their relatives still inhabit areas from southern Brazil all the way to Tierra del Fuego. There, they use rivers, lakes, ponds, and swamps. Coypus were long hunted for their fur, but their meat was also eaten, and they were kept as pets. In the 19th century, these animals were almost extinct. Meanwhile, the authorities have set up protection zones for the Coypus. But how did they get to Europe, all the way from South America? The first fur farms were established in France in 1880 and later in Germany. The farmed animals were specially bred for the density of their fur, their undemanding feed requirements, and for resistance against disease. Factory workers made coats and collars in the GDR up until the reunification of Germany. After that, the companies went bankrupt, and the farm animals were simply set free. Coypus are still bred today, in zoos. And, as on the farms, they all look different. The range of shades of their fur varies widely from the dark brown of their wild cousins. Especially smaller zoos like to show and breed these cute animals. Coypus are easy to keep and reproduce magnificently. This colony has more than 20 members who have to get along with each other in a space of almost 200 square meters. There's no need to fight, as they're fed meals daily with a wide choice of food. Vegetables have vitamins and fluids for the body. Hard bread is good for the teeth. But these animals are smart. They drag their food to the water and soften it up there so they can chew it more easily. Coypus can also chew underwater. Their mouths have 2 separate compartments to prevent them from filling up with water while they're feeding. Zoos breed their own stocks, and they don't release any Coypus into the wild. After being released from the fur farms, the rodents took refuge in nearby waterways. This made it easier for them to proliferate. Another advantage for them initially was that they were rarely hunted. It was too expensive. And the ability of these rodents to cope was underestimated. For Coypus, the farms were like a training camp for life in the wild, because once free, the animals were able to benefit from several of the factors that made fur breeding so successful. They're robust and undemanding, have thicker fur and are hardier than their wild relatives in South America. And another characteristic underpinned the Coypu's triumphant progress. They can breed all year round. A mother will give birth to 5 or 6 young. They're born with fur and sighted and are true precocial animals. Usually, that is. Here, they still prefer to stay close to their mother. They can have 2 or 3 litters a year. Mathematicians have worked out that in just 3 years, a single Coypu pair can have 16,000 offspring. Ideal for conquering new habitats. The female's teats are located high up on her flanks, on either side of the spine. This allows her to nurse her young even while she's swimming in the water. At only 5 months old, the young can already have their own babies. People are looking for ways and means to stop the spread of these rodents, namely in the Netherlands. Jari Bremer from the Water Management Association has for the past few years been perfecting his trapping methods. He's been hard on the heels of hundreds of Coypus in the wild to protect the dams from the exotic animals. The hunter sets up 1 transmitter per cage. The little device will tell him when an animal is trapped in the box. Bremer isn't leaving anything to chance. An avid inventor, he's been trying out cameras too. They're supposed to transmit an image via internet to his smartphone so he can see what has entered the trap. But this method is still being tested. The Coypu trappers have recently added a tracker dog to their arsenal. The specially trained animal indicates which Coypu burrows are inhabited. That saves a lot of time and effort. The Netherlands invests millions of euros every year to safeguard dams from Coypus and other rodents.
Our goal is 0 Coypus in the Netherlands as quickly as possible. We're well on the way. You'll still find some in a few places, but even there it won't take much longer using the new methods.
Although the interior of the Netherlands is already free of the rodents, new arrivals keep coming over the border with Germany, so Jari Bremer has to stay vigilant. In the UK and Sweden, hunting authorities have already successfully eradicated the Coypu. To get his hands on the animals, Jari has to penetrate their habitat. He puts on waterproof gear and uses their waterways. It's the same territory he's already scouted. As usual, the Coypus observe him rather than the other way round. If he stopped going after the animals, they would propagate throughout the whole area within just a few years. The hunter has had good results with wire cages. The older animals may be more skeptical, but he gets the young ones with them very effectively. Apples make good bait.
The Coypus can see the trap, but the apple inside is just too tempting. We can see in our game observation cameras how they hesitate at first, but the urge to eat something delicious is just too great, so in the end, they make a move and go in, despite being suspicious.
Lethal traps are not allowed, as the Coypus share the habitat with protected indigenous aquatic species, and they may not be touched. The hunter would quickly release a stray, non-target animal. One of these is the rare Eurasian otter. This semi-aquatic creature is once again increasingly populating the water areas of the eastern Netherlands. Otters are strictly protected. Unlike the Coypus, they're meat eaters and can actually pose a danger to Coypu young. They also help combat another non-native animal, the muskrat. These North American rodents are also on the hit list, like the Coypu, and they can cause even more damage. On the other hand, a welcome resident of this water paradise is the beaver. It's reclaiming its ancestral habitats. It isn't easy to tell all these aquatic creatures apart. One has to look closely. What distinguishes the Coypu from a beaver is the latter's flat tail. Beavers also occasionally appear on the German side. Biologist Martin Brunner carries out research in the Bienen Old Rhine Nature Reserve. This cut-off meander of the River Rhine lies close to the Dutch border, and it's a rare bird sanctuary. It's the last breeding place far and wide for the black tern, because only here can they find the aquatic plants they need for their survival. Martin Brunner keeps discovering dead bulrushes in the Old Rhine Nature Reserve.
In the last 20 years, the reeds have declined tremendously, especially the bulrushes, where we can still see remnants here. They've declined dramatically. The problem is that reedbed dwellers, birds, but also insects, are losing their habitat. The diversity is just no longer there, so the entire nature conservation area is massively endangered.
What is threatening this last colony of black terns here?
It could be the quality of the water, or because the animals feed off it.
Conservationist Martin Brunner is not going to stand by and watch while the reeds die off. The biologist is targeting 4 animals: muskrat, beaver, geese, and of course, Coypus. All too often, foreign species are the ones under suspicion, but he's looking for evidence. A camera trap set up near selected aquatic plants should reveal the culprit. Up upriver, near Bonn, it's clear why Germany has not done much about the Coypus, unlike the Netherlands. The Rheinau Park is a much-visited recreational area, and its animal inhabitants are popular. Despite the hustle and bustle, the park has many quiet corners and spots. For many urbanites, these creatures with the orange teeth, long whiskers and piggy noses are just cute to look at, and supposedly a sign of a healthy natural environment. Where else can you so easily observe animals in the wild? The Coypus are tolerated by the city, but there's a ban on feeding them as they can get too demanding. There are fines of up to €1,000 for infringement, but most people aren't aware of this. As descendants of farm animals, the Coypus here show themselves in their best light. They're peaceful and enjoy proximity with people. Among themselves, however, they begrudge each other every mouthful, and can get quite beastly. Feeding them with cookies and bread can lead to the Coypus getting overweight and sick. In the city park, they've no need to worry where their next meal's coming from, so there's plenty of free time they can use for digesting and taking an afternoon nap. Because they're left alone in many parts of Germany, they keep spreading to neighbouring regions. Their feral cousins in the Netherlands have a less comfortable time of it. A camera installation with night vision shows what happens at traps that have been set. One of them has signalled via its transmitter. Yari Bremer only receives a message, no picture. For animal welfare reasons, the trapped animal may not be left in the cage for too long. He must react quickly. He looks up the trap's location on the map. As his film traps reveal, Coypus aren't afraid of cages. Even if one of them is caught inside, they will still go right up to it. and tried to chase the other Coypu away. If an otter or beaver gets caught in the trap, Jari Bremer has to let it go immediately. The same for martens or hedgehogs. So he has to hurry. He soon discovers it's a Coypu.
At the beginning, you think about it a bit more. Later, not so much. Because the fewer animals we have, the fewer we have to kill. That's what we're aiming for. I don't have a problem anymore with killing an exotic animal.
The hunter lets nature deal with the dead animal. In a small town in Germany, Coypus are treated very differently. In Dillenburg in central Germany, there's a wild animal sanctuary. Here, Angelika Schmeing helps injured creatures.
Ja, komm. Ei, fein. Ei, sie ja wieder.
It's not only sparrows that are nursed back to health here. The garden is also home to 2 Coypus. The 2 young animals were brought to the station as helpless, orphaned foundlings.
They're very human-friendly animals, Coypus. Playful and cuddly too.
Come on, come here.
Wolfgang Schmeing helps look after the orphans. They're not the first Coypus that this couple has raised.
You're the best. After the dog, of course. My wife speaks Coypu, so I usually let her call them. They react to her much more readily. I can't get the pitch right.
I just used the same pitch as the Coypus and watched them closely. And you hear exactly when they're annoyed at something, and their body language changes too, of course. When they're content, it's a low growling noise, and, well, they're just heartwarming creatures, Coypus.
Rodents are family animals, so they have quite a wide range of sounds they use to communicate. The foster parents will soon have their tame guests sterilized so that the fast-maturing siblings can't produce any offspring. Meanwhile, the little ones have grown so used to their foster parents that they often come and spend the night indoors. Angelika Schmeing knows she'll never be able to release the animals into the wild. It's against nature conservation law. Privately kept exotic animals may not be released. so Albert and Louise, as they're called, can stay until the end of their days. Coypus can easily live up to 8 years. Meanwhile, in the Bienen Old Rhine Nature Reserve, the culprit behind the damage to the reeds is about to be caught. Martin Brunner's camera trap bears witness. It has taken pictures of the culprit, and never mind how many photos of them he examines, it's always the same villain.
Yes, it's clearly Coypus.
The bulrush stems have been completely eaten away by the greedy rodents.
The problem is, they eat the roots at the base, so the plant can't sprout new shoots again.
Coypus cause a lot of damage in the nature reserve.
There are other species that eat reeds. They're also a food source for other animals. But roe deer or geese eat the shoots at the top, and the roots stay intact, so the plant can grow again. What one can do about it is to eliminate the Coypus from this area. That's the only feasible thing.
Here too, as down the Rhine in Holland, there's no mercy for the rodents. But further up the Rhine in Strasbourg, they still find refuge. France is where they've been established the longest in Europe, colonizing the whole country. But the authorities here also frown on feeding the animals. Because they transport microorganisms in their fur from one body of water to another, this can lead to undesirable effects for the habitats involved, though these can hardly be called natural anymore. The animals have taken over even highly urbanized areas. Noise and concrete don't seem to worry these masters of adaptation. As they're suspected of causing harm to natural environments, Coypus are on the so-called Blacklist of the European Union, together with 30 other species. The exotic animals even live on the doorstep of the EU Parliament, right where they decided their animal neighbours should, as an invasive alien species, be combated more vigorously. This means that all EU countries must adopt management plans like the Netherlands. Wild Coypus must be monitored and held in check, preferably eradicated. That's what the paper says. A dispute has broken out between animal lovers and the authorities over the rodents in the heart of Strasbourg. When does an animal become native? After all, the creatures have lived in the Alsatian metropolis for many generations, and the locals have long regarded them as little Frenchmen. In Germany, in the Bienen Old Rhine, they have taken the EU ruling seriously. A full-time Coypu hunter is on duty for the nature reserve. He patrols large areas on foot daily, checking on the live traps that have been set up. No one would guess what this friendly chap's job actually is, just from looking at him. The hunter ensures he hasn't accidentally trapped a protected animal. It's a Coypu. To kill it safely, he has to let it out of the enclosed container. There's no escape. In a safe spot, he will shoot the animal through the wire mesh. More than 500 Coypus have been killed in the reserve in a year.
Hello, Martin.
Hello, Conrad.
I've got another one today.
Where did you get it?
Bienen Old Rhine, about 4.5, 5 kilos, I'd say.
Unlike in the Netherlands, the carcasses are not left to nature, but taken away.
Let's take it downstairs.
At the Clever Nature Conservation Station, Martin Brunner has a freezer. Many of the captured Coypus will end up as animal feed in a zoo. Some, however, will be collected by furriers and the skins processed into furs. In zoos, however, Coypus are still an attraction. Using electric fences and walls, the burrowing animals are prevented from escaping and procreating outside the park. But even zoos have to rethink. The EU regulation prohibits the reproduction of the animals. They have to be sterilized so that there is no more offspring. This is how the European authorities want to stop new Coypu generations from colonizing the environment. They don't trust walls and fences. Coypus are notorious escape artists. It's only a matter of time before zoos will be displaying the last animals from their own breeding programs. Like the yellow-bellied slider, also formerly released into the wild, zoos could become sanctuaries for live-caught Coypus in the future. In the confined enclosure, rival bucks fight over their rankings and hook incisors until one of them gives up. In the wild, Coypus will not disappear of their own accord. Ecologists also see the advantages. In Europe, Coypus have occupied a niche that no native animal has held, and wherever they live, they even drive away the unwelcome muskrat. Coypus keep the riverbanks free of excessive vegetation. In some regions, they have been specially introduced for this purpose. This delivers cost and time savings for waterway management. Well-nourished Coypus can also survive hard times. Their fatty tissue protects them from the cold, and they can regulate heat loss by constricting their peripheral blood vessels. Their greatest enemy is harsh winters with long periods of frost and plenty of snow. But these are becoming increasingly rare due to climate change. Coypus appear to be pretty well indestructible. While Coypus in South America fear feline predators and crocodiles, they have far fewer enemies here. There is one that preys on them, though. The fox. With their sharp sense of smell and sensitive ears, Coypus are good at detecting their enemies. The fox often only catches young animals. Most Coypu young do not survive their first year. In the Bienen Old Rhine reserve, humans have played fox. Coypus are much rarer now than they were several years ago. Good news for nature conservationists here. Martin Brunner sees a chance for the reedbeds once again. Together with his colleagues, he is giving the bulrushes a helping hand. Young plants are transported from a nursery to the shallow waters.
So, dann packen wir das mal hier raus.
The seedlings originate from this area and will be able to take root and grow here again. To give the young plants a better chance, they're protected by wire mesh, a purely precautionary measure because the remaining Coypus are smart. With a reduction in the number of the exotic Coypu, more reeds are growing again on the riverbanks. This is only possible due to the substantial financial support from the EU for the development of living reed beds. The numbers of rare black terns are increasing again. The Bienen Old Rhine Nature Reserve is proof that introduced animal species really can have a negative effect on a habitat. In the urban environment of Bonn, different rules apply to those of the nature reserves. Here, the Coypus undermine the banks of the park lake, but the damage is limited. Coypus can swim, dig, and climb, making it hard for pursuers to catch them. Eradicating them in Germany would be a complex and costly business. Many people don't know much about the problems that Coypus cause in dikes and dams, or they don't wish to know. Which animals should be permitted to live in their new home? Mankind has been making a mess of things for a long time. Today's city parks have nothing in common with the nature of bygone days. Coypus have lived in Europe for over a century. Perhaps these cheeky creatures have long since found their niche in man-made habitats. Coypu numbers should be limited wherever they do obvious damage. Elsewhere, the rule ought to be management and sound judgment instead of relentless extermination.